I want to tell you about one of the most terrifying experiences I've ever had. The fear I felt that night, honestly, is something I can only compare to the panic I experienced when a close family member was kidnapped for a few hours. This happened very close to Otinapa, a small town in the mountains of Durango. My girlfriend's family is from that area. Her grandparents still have a small ranch there, even though most of their children have moved away to different states and even the United States. Their grandparents are already over 70 years old, and their kids still come to visit them from time to time. My girlfriend loves these visits to Durango. She goes at least twice a year. In the summer of 2014, her parents told her they couldn't go because of some problems at her mom's job, so she asked me to go with her. Her parents had given her permission to invite me, reluctantly, and I was short on money those months, but I agreed, partly because I wanted to get to know that side of her family, and partly because I genuinely love nature and the landscapes of the mountains. It was supposed to be a week. From the moment we were waiting at the airport for a family member, I felt something in my chest. It was a strange sensation, like something bad was about to happen. That anxiety was hard to describe, and at the time I convinced myself it was just nerves about meeting her grandparents. The drive to the ranch at those early hours was beautiful. We arrived with the first light of morning and only her grandmother was there. Her grandfather was already working. He showed up a few hours later, around lunchtime, and when he shook my hand firmly he told me that the next day I'd be helping him with the chores. That first day really felt like a vacation, getting to know them, laughing, and having good nerves that made me forget about the anxious feeling that had followed me since we arrived. But everything was about to change. That night, when lightning seemed to announce a storm, he showed me the room where I would sleep. At that moment I could have told my girlfriend to stay with me for a while in the early hours, I know, but that fear returned to my chest, and the only thing I wanted was to sleep and have the night pass. I went to bed very early, around 10:30. There was no signal on my phone. It wasn't more than 20 minutes before I fell asleep, playing some stupid game on my phone. Then, with the sound of the rain, I woke up to the noise of animals being disturbed, or that's what I thought. The cows and the little pigs were just shrieking. I didn't peek outside. I told myself it could be a coyote or some other dangerous animal, and I calmed down a little when I heard the grandfather's voice talking to them, as if he could reassure them. I didn't fall back asleep easily. I was uneasy, and before I could truly sink into sleep, the grandmother was already knocking on the door to offer me coffee and a breakfast taco before going to help her husband. I accepted, and that delicious coffee completely woke me up. We spent the morning working with the animals near a small pond. And I say, we, because even though I had no experience herding, when I saw an animal stray, I'd get off the horse and literally push it back with my hands to keep it among the others. Whenever I had a free moment, I asked the grandfather what had scared the animals the night before. He chuckled a little, then I noticed worry on his face. Coyotes, that's all. He didn't talk much, but in that sentence I could tell he was trying to tell me there was nothing to worry about. After a few hours we returned to the ranch. Later, I had time to walk around with my girlfriend in the afternoon. But when we went back for dinner, that anxiety came back again. I looked at the woods around us, beautiful, still wet from the night rain, but something wouldn't let me breathe deeply, breathe calmly. It felt like someone, or something, was watching from the treetops. At that moment I felt a strong need to protect my girlfriend, like something was about to happen to her. The next days passed with relative calm. I was still anxious every night, and I still heard the animals agitated for hours, until I finally fell asleep. One morning, before her grandparents knocked on my door, I went outside. I found them searching with flashlights near the corrals. A calf that had been born just a few days before we arrived was missing. I helped look, and not long after my girlfriend joined us too, but we couldn't find it anywhere. The mother cow, the calf's mother, had injuries around her neck. Coyotes, I thought, Or at least that's what we wanted to believe. It's what we all said once we gave up and started the day's chores. That afternoon I got to ride a horse again with my girlfriend. And again, the anxiety arrived. But this time it was stronger, like it had been on the first day. I asked her to go back with me because we were far from the ranch. As soon as we turned, I started staring at the treetops again, like I expected to finally see whatever had been stalking me and making me feel that way. And then I saw something. I was sure of it. Without telling my girlfriend, I asked her to hurry. 20 minutes later, we reached the ranch, and I rushed to tell her grandfather what I had seen. He took his horse and told me to come with him, almost apologizing that he had to do it. He said something to his wife, gave me a rifle, and we set out. For someone like me who didn't know the area, it was difficult to find the exact tree I meant. But after a while he did. Up in the branches, high above us, about 20 meters up, you could see the body, or what was left of the body of the calf. To my surprise, the grandfather barely reacted. Instead, he began searching around the area. Maybe it was an eagle? I asked, trying to explain it away. It would have to be huge, right? He didn't answer. It wasn't rudeness. He was focused, like he had to find something else. "Let's go," he said suddenly, and he rode off fast the way we had come. My lack of skill riding and my fear made me follow him without even fully managing to look back at what he had seen before we left. I only had time to catch a glimpse. Something dark on the ground, with red marks, like blood. It almost looked like a dead animal. For some reason, it also made me think of skin shed by a snake when it changes. Night was falling completely now. We returned to the ranch with strong wind that made it impossible to hear each other from a meter away. He went to speak to his grandmother, then left the house again. We ate dinner without him, following the grandmother's insistence. After we finished, I said goodnight to my girlfriend, said goodnight to her grandmother, and went to sleep, trying to, at least. The grandfather didn't come back. I noticed that on my bed, he had left a shotgun, much larger than the weapon he'd used earlier that day. I tried to sleep, but the anxiety was stronger than anything before. The wind howled, and I could feel rain gathering. I don't know how much time passed, but then I woke up to a scream, followed by a sound like enormous flapping. Something fell onto the roof of my room. The rain stopped. I picked up the shotgun he'd left beside my bed, trying to make as little noise as possible. Whatever was above us began to move. The sound it made was solid, like something heavy tapping the wooden roof. And I can't explain it perfectly, but it wasn't the simple footsteps of a person. After each step there was a light knocking sound, like it dragged something hard and small behind each foot. But the flapping came again. Then I heard it land somewhere on the main part of the ranch house. If her grandfather hadn't returned, then I might be the only person awake at that hour. The only person who could keep that thing away from my girlfriend and her grandmother. I gathered every bit of courage I had, and I swear I saw what looked like a human-shaped figure walking across the roof of the house. With its back to me, it kept moving until the trees blocked the other end of the roof. Whatever it was dragging, it seemed like it had wings spanning several meters. I tried to get closer without making noise, hoping the animals wouldn't give me away. My hands were shaking around the shotgun. I had to go around several meters to reach the other side of the house. The house was large enough to have housed multiple families. Then suddenly, screams erupted. A light blinded me, and several voices yelled at me to get away, cursing me, threatening me. I even heard people throwing things and getting ready. Then I heard flapping again. When the light stopped blinding me, I saw the grandfather beside several men. I promised them I wasn't coming with bad intentions. One of them laughed. "Of course not, kid," he said. Her grandfather patted me on the back, like telling me to come with them. They all walked toward a bonfire about 80 meters from the house. I recognized one of the men, my girlfriend's cousin. He had passed by us at the airport. We had scared him off. He told me, while his rifle pointed toward the tip of a huge pine tree not far from the house, that it was there. I tried to adjust my eyes in the dark, but I couldn't see anything. All I could make out was a large dark shape hidden against the black of the night. Then suddenly I saw it move. Red eyes seemed to stare right at me, and that large dark thing shifted from one tree to another. I felt like I was about to faint. In that moment, all the fear and anxiety from that whole week seemed to concentrate in that creature, moving between the trees. "It gets crazy whenever the girls come around," one of the men said by the bonfire. And I assumed he meant my girlfriend and her cousins when they visit the grandparents. They offered me coffee, and I stayed there with them all night. We talked about everything and nothing, memories, stories, small anecdotes. We didn't mention that thing, even though from time to time it changed trees, and it kept watching us. The next night was the same way. This time, though, the creature in the trees didn't come closer. Far away we still heard screams and shrieks, letting us know it was near. We went back to normal life. I never told my girlfriend, not because I didn't want to, but because her grandfather asked me explicitly not to. He spoke very little. When I tried to ask what it really was, he completely ignored my question. Now, since my girlfriend asked me to go with her again on these upcoming summer vacations, I haven't stopped feeling that same anxiety every night before going to sleep. I know it's impossible, but I can't shake the feeling, imagining, that thing is nearby. Or maybe up there in the mountains of Durango, it's waiting for her. Watching, crouched somewhere high in a tree.